As bars and restaurants emptied and parts of the world sheltered in place, the way we drink began to transform. Drinking has become not only a virtual activity for friends to stay connected, but a sense of comfort for many. Even celebrities are finding creative ways to engage in their passion on social media by either making or talking about their favourite drinks, like Ina Garden, Stanley Tucci, or Carmelo Anthony and Jimmy Butler.
What's your favorite wine? Since you know mine, what's your one?
My one?
Your one.
Damn.
And with that transformation, the alcohol industry has had to follow suit. You may have seen some of the headlines about how alcohol consumption is up and sales are at an all-time high. But up until January 2020, drinking culture was already in the midst of a different kind of change. Late last year, you wrote an article about how little people are drinking.
Yeah.
How has that changed?
Yeah, last year the biggest trends in drinking were these canned cocktails that had like 5% alcohol, 100 calories, these beers that were like 4% alcohol, and they were like, you can drink these when you're kayaking or hiking, and they're like wellness. And now it's like, oh, JK, all everybody wants to do is sit at home and drink boxed wine and like Natty Light and Busch beer. So obviously the biggest shift in the way we consume is online orders. Online alcohol sales were up 243% in the third week of March, which is kind of when everyone was like, all right, we're going to be here for a couple of weeks, maybe months, I don't know.
A lot of these online sales are attributed to apps like Minibar, so I talked to their CEO, Lindsay Andrews, to see how they're doing.
We've seen new buyers are up almost 10x, sales are almost 3x, and then customers are also much stickier. Like they're repeating faster because they, aren't splitting their spend between at-home consumption, bars, and restaurants. It's 100% at home, so they've shifted all of their spend, so they're buying more frequently as well. We've also seen an uptick in, not a huge one, but in our average order size. So people are placing bigger orders as opposed to smaller ones. The vast majority of our business is from local liquor stores, mainly mom and pop liquor stores in your neighborhood. We launched in New York City where it's illegal to own more than one liquor store, so they're basically all mom and pop liquor stores. So that allows us to serve 90% plus of the US population. I think alcohol still, even though I've been doing this for 7 years now, it's been slow to shift online. So I truly believe this is the catalyst, and I think people's shopping behavior is going to remain online. It's not like a one-time blip.
On-premise and off-premise are the two subcategories of how alcohol is purchased. On-premise refers to bars, restaurants, and tasting rooms, and off-premise refers to retail, so grocery stores and liquor stores. The pandemic has shifted basically everyone to off-premise, which explains the increase in online sales. The downside is that it has really affected independent producers of alcohol, like wineries.
We're seeing this crazy spike in retail sales, and yet a lot of independent producers of wine and beer and spirits aren't seeing the benefits of that. 97% of US wineries are estimated to experience a revenue loss of between 36 and 66% this year. So wow. It's not going well for them. Online sales have represented, according to one of my sources, the Silicon Valley Bank, only 3% of small wineries' revenue. In recent years, that has to change now.
As for the subcategories of wine, the sake industry has seen a particularly devastating hit. Monica Samuels is one of the country's leading sake importers.
Sake drinking is all about community, and so without gatherings and festivals and all of this seasonal tourism, and just February and March is the end of the brewing season, and so there's a lot of celebrations around fresh pressed sake, and with all of that canceled, it felt very, very kind of bleak. And I think that no matter what happens, people will be spending more time at home and people will be doing more things digitally.
To alleviate that bleakness, Monica and her friends organized a virtual version of hanami, the Japanese tradition of drinking sake under cherry blossom trees. That turned into a weekly onomikai, which is the Japanese term for a virtual happy hour. I joined Monica to experience this firsthand.
That's right.
Cheers.
Cheers, you brought this bottle. I should not be drinking it. It's for her.
Bye.
What's drinking looking like for you guys? Is it a bottle a week, a bottle a couple of days?
A bottle a week.
That's
cute.
Oh,
real cute.
That is love. I love that.
That is optimistic, and I love it.
Wow.
Did someone get in trouble?
How has it been doing this virtually?
Honestly, I think it's great because you're in the comfort of your own home, and you know, if I drink too much, I can just sleep on my couch. I don't have to drink much.
You can pee whenever you want. There's no line for the bathroom.
There's zero line.
Yeah. I think it is gonna affect obviously the future, and I think this is still gonna be an option down the line, obviously.
And that's been the sentiment all around the world. The future is unclear, but as we all know, without bars and restaurants, the social aspect of drinking can get pretty boring. That's why virtual happy hours and video chats have been such a saving grace.
I think drinking is so social. Obviously, we're told that all the time. It's a nice way to have an excuse to catch up with friends. Like, hey, let's have a virtual happy hour. Like, you know, we're kind of putting on this facade of normalcy, even though everything is like super up in the air.
If you have a favourite bar though, nothing can replace the energy of that space. Justin McManus is the owner of McManus Cafe, an Irish-American institution in New York City since 1911.
Drinking culture is not about, the drinks, it's about the socialization. I say to my staff all the time, if a guest comes in and orders a beer, they're not here for the beer. They're paying more than they would at home, and the beer tastes the same here as it does out of their bodega in their house or out of the 10,000 other bars and restaurants in New York that they can get it. So why do they come here? They come here for you, the bartender. They come here for the experience, so the social aspect of seeing everybody else, and all of that, great charm that we provide, and that, as our staff does, and that we can be that little bit of an escape or that very friendly confine.
So if you can't go to the bar, but you can interact with friends online, how do you recreate that collective experience? Well, drinking games have stepped in to save the day. Yay! When pubs closed down in the UK, drinking at home just didn't cut it. And so the pub quiz went virtual, because if there's two things Brits love, it's drinking and quizzes. Jay Flynn started his virtual pub quiz just for his local teammates, and it soon grew to 500,000 views worldwide. So yeah, I got him to ask me a couple of questions.
From which country is Emmental cheese usually from?
Emmental cheese?
Yeah.
America?
No. Switzerland.
All right, let me get a do-over. Ask me another one.
Which nuts are used in marzipan?
Almond?
Yes.
That would have been terrible because I love marzipan. Once it shifted online, pub quizz's success spread like wildfire. So much so that celebrities like Tom Holland, Stephen Fry and Ian McKellen have participated in virtual pub quizzes for charity.
What was the first production ever by the National Theatre of Great Britain?
As the country ran out of hand sanitizer, news outlets widely reported on distilleries around the country stepping in to help out. Alan Katz is the co-founder of the New York Distilling Company, a gin and rye whiskey distillery in Brooklyn that started creating hand sanitizers in order to meet local demands.
We're able to procure hydrogen peroxide and glycerin, and the key element that we, like any distillery, has is very high-proof neutral grain spirit. The methodology for producing hand sanitizer at this level is really quite straightforward. Mixing these ingredients together in a very clean environment, but it's a constant focus on safety. It's still very flammable at the percentage of alcohol. So at our scale, we've been able to produce several thousand liters of hand sanitizer, and their effort, so that I'm being completely honest, is we want to sell enough to cover our costs. Cost of procuring the other ingredients, the cost of labor, cost of packaging material, and at that point, our effort is really with Delight, specifically to give it away. And we've been primarily giving it to NYPD precincts, FDNY, Brooklyn Housing Services, to some specific hospitals in Brooklyn and Manhattan.
Charity aside, the average consumer seems to be diversifying their drinking options because, let's face it, we all miss the skill and finesse of professional bartenders and a well-made cocktail.
People are trying new things, they have the time to mix things up and test them out. So we've seen a huge uptick in spirit sales and kind of a decrease in beer sales.
They're really bored. And so they're looking for any kind of experience that's not the same bottle of Cabernet and the same recipe for lasagna or whatever. I think people should meal plan their alcohol the same way they meal plan their food, right? Otherwise, it's going to be so boring.
And for those that are tired of doing everything themselves, some states have relaxed their laws to allow pickup and delivery of to-go cocktails from bars and restaurants. As a self-professed introvert, I kind of hope that this rule stays. So what will drinking culture look like from here on out? There's no denying that the bars and restaurants will be packed once again like they already are in Hong Kong. The online shift of the alcohol industry could potentially be permanent, but hopefully, virtual happy hours will continue to exist as an option for socializing for quite some time. And now that drinking at home has less of a stigma, maybe American drinking culture will feel a little bit more European. And I can say cheers to that.